So, you want to sound more like a native English speaker, right? But you feel kind of stuck because you don't have anyone to practice with. I get it. Well, in this explainer, we're going to break down a really powerful self study technique that can seriously improve your fluency. And you can do it all by yourself. First, we'll talk about a super common problem that holds a lot of speakers back. Then we'll get into the good stuff, a powerful solution called the imitation technique. I'll walk you through exactly how to do it, we'll uncover the cool science that makes it work so well, and finally, we'll map out your path to fluency. All right, let's dive right in with section 1, the speaker's dilemma. You know that feeling, right? That super frustrating gap when you know all the grammar rules, you have tons of vocabulary, but when you actually try to speak, the words just don't come out smoothly. I mean, of course you do. That's why you're here. The whole goal is to express your thoughts clearly, confidently, and without all that hesitation. But then we hit the big roadblock. And yup, here it is. This is the big one. For so many learners, you can't improve your speaking without actually speaking. But how are you supposed to practice if you have no one to talk to? It feels like a total catch-22, doesn't it? You know, we're often told to just study more grammar or listen to more English. And look, those things are helpful, but they'll never get you to fluency all by themselves. It's like they build a bridge that's almost there, but there's a huge gap. The missing piece, the only thing that's going to finish that bridge, is actually speaking. So, how in the world do we practice speaking when we're flying solo? Well, that brings us right to our solution, the imitation technique. It's a simple, but honestly, game-changing method for practicing all by yourself. So what is it exactly? It's actually super straightforward. You listen to something, could be a story, a speech, a podcast, whatever, and then you try to get the same main ideas and messages across, but you use your own words to do it. Okay, and this is absolutely the most important part. This is not about being a parrot. You're not just repeating the exact words back, it's about expressing the same thoughts. Think of yourself as a storyteller, not a copy machine. You're grabbing the ideas and then telling them in your own voice. That's the secret sauce right there. So how do you actually do this? Let's get practical. I'm going to break it down with a simple step-by-step guide. We'll call it the easy to hard method, and it's designed so that anyone at any level can jump right in. Let's use a simple story as an example. The original speaker is sharing a memory, and they say, "When I was a child, my parents liked to pretend that Santa Claus would bring us presents at Christmas." Pretty simple, right? Notice it's all in the first person. I, my, us. Okay, now watch what happens when we imitate this. The whole perspective shifts. It becomes, when he was a child, his parents liked to pretend that Santa Claus would bring them presents. See what happened there? The core idea, the story, is exactly the same, but the words change just a little bit. You're actively retelling the story, not just mindlessly repeating it. The best way to get started is to think of it in 3 levels. Level 1, start super small. Just imitate short phrases or little sentences. For level 2, you move up to key ideas. So you listen until you hear a complete thought, hit pause, and then say that whole thought back in your own words. And finally, level 3, the ultimate challenge. You listen to a whole section, and then you retell the entire message on your own. All right, now for the really cool part, the why behind all of this, learning without studying. Let's dig into the hidden power that makes this technique work so well, because there's some really fascinating learning science going on here. Just think about this for a second. How do little kids learn to speak their first language so perfectly? They're not sitting in a classroom studying grammar books, right? They don't memorize verb tables, yet somehow they master it. How does that even work? Well, the answer is something pretty amazing called implicit learning. It's basically like magic happening in your brain without you even noticing. It's a learning process that occurs under the surface, precisely because your brain is totally focused on the goal of communication, understanding and expressing ideas, not on analyzing rules. And the benefits here are just huge. When you use the imitation technique, you're tapping into this incredible natural power. You start to just absorb how to form sentences correctly. You pick up natural idioms and expressions. Grammar rules kind of just sink in without you even thinking about it. And why? Because your focus is in the right place, on getting an idea across, not on memorizing a rule. Okay, so let's tie this all together and talk about your path to fluency. It's time to put this powerful technique into action. So here's the bottom line, the main thing to remember from all this. You don't have to wait around for a speaking partner. You really don't. You can start getting better right now. All you need is a voice to borrow, from a speech, a story, a talk, and a clear method to follow. And that brings us to the final and maybe the most important question of all. Think about a speaker you really admire or a story you just love. Whose voice are you going to borrow first?